Here's the chicken broth. And what I did is I took 4 boxes of chicken broth and found some smoked turkey. These happen to be turkey legs. I know some people like to take the meat off the bone and then put it in the pot. You can do that, that's fine, but I just throw the whole bone in there because I like for my smoked turkey legs to get good and tender before I actually pull the bone out. And then I have a whole medium yellow onion in there, and I sprinkled in a little bit of the Cavender's all-purpose Greek seasoning here, as you can see. Just a little bit of that. I'll put some more in there later. And I brought the turkey broth and the turkey legs to a boil. Next thing I want to do now is I'm going to add in the greens. And I'm going to let the greens cook down. And once they cook down, I'll add season, add a few turnip bottoms, and go from there. So here's where I'm at right now. I put 4 gallon Ziploc bags of greens in this pot. Okay, so you can see right now, and it looks like a lot, but once it cooks down, they have already wilted down some, but they are nowhere near ready at this point. Once it cooks down, it's probably gonna fill half the pot. I got my smoked turkey down in there as well. It's in there. My smoked turkey is down in there. I'm gonna show you. They're still in there. And once it cooks, that smoked turkey gets good and tender, it's gonna make it easier for me to flip it off the bone here. Tune in. Once these cook down, we'll then proceed and add in the turnips, and then we'll check the seasoning at this time. I never do a lot of seasoning on the front end because we don't like a lot of salt in our food. We want it to be seasoned to our taste buds. And so that's why I don't recommend doing a lot of seasoning on the front end. You can always season when it's almost done or close to done, because the smoked turkey has salt in it, along with the little Cavenders that I added. That's adding salt as well. So you just want to kind of keep the salt limited, and you can always add your seasoning in the end and still get a good flavor for greens, because the smoked turkey meat does have salt in it, and that's going to add flavor and seasoning as well. So here's where we're at right now. Okay, as you can see, the greens have currently cooked down, and they are darker now. And I've already done a taste test. Haven't added any butter yet or any other additional seasonings, because I'm totally relying right now on the seasoning from the smoked turkey to season the greens. So at this point, it is now time to add the turnips. So I'm going to add in the turnips and continue to allow the greens to cook. So we'll add the turnips at this time, and the greens will continue cooking. I have now added in the turnips, and I stirred them around. I want to say I kind of diced them up into little squares, and then I added them in. The squares are probably no more than an inch by inch, a little bit smaller than that. So I added them in. So I want to say approximately 4 handfuls of turnips. Of course, this is the size of my hand. I don't have real big hands. I realize it's showing up real big on the camera. And so we're going to allow it to cook some more and then continue to monitor. Still haven't added any additional seasonings, because you want to cook the greens to your taste buds and season them to your taste buds. Everybody's taste buds are differently. So if you're going to have a family of people coming over, you don't want to make them too spicy or too seasoned, because everybody may not like them very, very seasoned. It just depends on, the family that you are accustomed to, what they like and what they taste. So me and my husband, we try to watch our salt intake, so we don't season a lot. We are totally relying as much as possible on the seasoning to come from the smoked turkey parts. So I'll come back with an update. Okay, as you can see, the meat is fall off the bone tender. So at this point, it is now ready to debone and take off the bone and put the meat down in the pot of greens that's cooking. The turnips are still cooking along as well. But I like to let it boil in with the bone, because I feel that the bone does add flavor to the pot of greens as well. So here you go. So I'm ready now at this point. See how that's coming off, peeling off real easily right there. That's why I don't pre-cut my meat up and stick it in on the front end. I always cook the meat with the bone on it and then debone later. Take some tongues, just like I'm doing right here, and I put all that meat and all that fat into the pot of greens so that it can soak up the flavor of the smoked turkey and continue to season the greens. Okay, these greens have currently been cooking for about 2.5 hours. As you can see, I have them on a low simmer. And as you can see, the smoked turkey legs have created their own flavor. I'm going to give these a try right now just to see how they're tasting. Still haven't added any extra seasoning. I did put in just a light sprinkle of the Cavender's all Greek seasoning, but right now they're looking pretty flavorful. So let me just give it a try on the camera here and just let you see my reaction or hear my reaction to how they taste. Flavorful. That's good. A couple other things I would add. Gonna add about a tablespoon of a little soy sauce to it just to give it a little flavor. I know a lot of people say that greens come out bitter. You have a bitter taste in your greens. Just a couple of hacks you can do. You can add about a tablespoon of sugar to the whole pot. Not enough to sweeten them, but just enough to tone that down. That'll tone it down. A couple other things. If you're okay with using apple cider vinegar, you can do that as well to give them more flavor. But just a few things you can do. And now the last ingredient I'm going to do is a tablespoon butter from a stick of butter. Just a tablespoon of unsalted butter. And also going to add a little white pepper to my greens. And if you like a spicier green, of course, you can add some red pepper flakes as well. So basically, here's the finished product. As you can see, you got the turnips. They're all good and tender now. Everything's falling off the bone, ready to eat. And with the exception of adding that little butter, you can also add just a tad of Worcestershire sauce to give it a flavor. As you can tell, when I'm cooking, I'm somewhat old school. I don't have a specific recipe. I just started cooking and I go by how the food tastes. And if it tastes good, then that's what I go with. But, and it's all about your taste buds because you can always add. You can't take away, of course, but you can always add. I've added the tablespoon of unsalted butter off camera. And so now I'm just going to go ahead and add about a tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce. As you can see, this is Lee & Perrins, all natural sauce, but you can use whatever brand that you choose to use. I just happen to have that in stock. I have also purchased other brands as well. And these greens are now on a simmer mode and they are ready to eat. They're ready to eat. So like I said, if you like a spicier green, you can add a few more red pepper flakes. You know, do what you need to do to make it spicier. And of course, you know, there's a different recipe. You can, instead of starting out with the chicken broth and the smoked turkey, you can also start out with frying the bacon in the pan and then putting onions in the bottom of the pan. And once that's done, you can add your chicken broth and then add your greens that way as well. If you like that bacony flavor in your greens, you can do it that way as well. We try to not eat as much pork, and I try to make Thanksgiving as healthy as possible. So here you go. Hope you had a great day. Bye-bye.